All right, time to get down to the next Mr. GLOAT podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Today, guys, welcome live, ladies and gentlemen, as we're only a couple days away from Jake Paul Promotions. Today, guys, this is going to be another great hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen, for updates today, guys. And as we're speaking, guys, we can talk about everything, guys. I've already had the aftermath of talking about the Oscar De La Hoya and the Felix Sturm pay-per-view fight, also known as Collision Course, on June the 5th, 2004, which has actually been almost 22 years since that whole pay-per-view started. And that was not really my favorite thing to talk about. Actually, well, after even recovering out the first two matches that were never seen on television because never meant for, and from Luis Castillo winning his fight, never found that entertaining match as much. The Bernard Hopkins fight and Robert Allen, yeah, I've had weird opinions about it. But man, the main event, I really got entertained by that. So I'm just a 50-50 on that podcast. And recording it along video like that is crazy. But the real story, guys, is not what I recorded last time to take some time off. Because after doing the episode, we just got reports, mostly, in my opinion. I did not know this, guys, until right now, even after I did the podcast. And it's been 6 days ever since the updates came. On April the 9th, ladies and gentlemen, April the 9th, the IBF already updated their new rankings again, which is crazy of how the WBA updated new rankings a few days after they updated them again on April the 4th. Well, the IBF did it again. Since April the 3rd. It's crazy that every week, it's crazy how every day the rankings are ranking again, even though we're already halfway through the month right now, and it's crazy that the first 10 days rankings have already been updated, and this is crazy. So, with only a few topics to get today, guys, like probably 3 topics right now. And the first topic, just to get this out of sight, I will say this though, guys, that ever since I did mistaken episodes, such as I did accidentally recorded and titled the wrong video of MVP W01, and I retitled it on my video, but on the screen I titled it accidentally as the wrong episode, and just like talk about the Fury and Makhmedov fight. So yeah, I made horrible mistakes on that, and I was so unaware about this whole interesting information here that it just questions me so much. And so right here, guys, the IBF updated rankings ranked vacant number 1 and number 2. So Derek Chisora was number 2, and right now he's unranked. He got dropped out of the month, which makes you wonder who is dropped as well. Well, Umar Salamov, former light heavyweight title contender that did fought for a light heavyweight title against Dmitry Bivol about several years ago. Well, he was ranked number 13, and he's out. Arslanbek Makhmudov has been dropped out of the rankings, unfortunately, and well, unfortunately, even though he's still ranked in the WBA, I just don't know what to say about that. So technically, we have only a couple new fighters in the division. Now, Frank Sanchez is still ranked number 3. Richard Torres is still ranked number 4. Moses Atama was ranked number 11. Now he's ranked number 5. Anthony Joshua back into the rankings. He's at number 6, back in the IBF. What a great job for him. Bakadir Jalalov, he dropped 2 rankings down from number 5 to number 7, just like Lawrence Okali. He was number 6 last time, and now he's number 8. Filip Pergovich, same thing. He was ranked number 7, now he's number 9. Deontay Wilder, well, guess what? He's the new fighter. He's ranked number 10. Gildo Vianello was ranked number 8 last week ago, and now he's ranked number 11. Richard Rakpuri is ranked number 12, as he dropped down 3 rankings as well from number 9. Martin Bakawi, he was number 10, and now he's number 13. Efe Ajagba, he was number 12, now he's number 14. And Brandon Moore, well, he's still number 15. So just like him being in the WBO, he's still ranked number 15 in both of those two organizations at number 15. So if he gets a lucky cherry pick fight, like, let's just say that if Daniel Dubois gets hurt or something and they're going to find a mandatory opponent and then suddenly they randomly pick Brandon Moore to fight him, that would be shocked, which I doubt it. Again, even if Brandon Moore does get off the rankings in a fight, does he have what it takes to defeat Fabio Wardley? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, because that's a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance that fight will ever happen, and Brandon Moore winning. But again, I really can't point out any of this information yet until something crazy happens. So the powers to be, it's going to be smooth sailing for the next few weeks, because there's other pay-per-view fights, other title fights, and other shows. I don't know what to say about this for this production, because I don't have a lot to talk about with the first topic as much, because I've already talked about it already. So and looking back at it, the only thing I'll say about this is this: with all said being done, whatever's going to happen in the next few weeks, while the rankings of updated ratings for the IBF and other organizations, if the WBO does get new ranks before the end of April, or probably the 4th week, who knows? So technically, so with all this being said right now, with new ideas happening right now, with new title fights going on, it's now going to be a new era for something, because whatever's going to happen, something interesting will happen while these fights take place. And nothing could be said about this second show, because I might as well have to talk about Jake Paul's MVP WO2 promotions. Now, this second... So, guys, this is what the fight card is going to be. We have such as a new fighter in the division. We have a few male fights right now, like 4 of them, and 5 female fights. We have a 14-0 fighter named Alex Vargas that hasn't fought since 2023, and he's going to take on Randy Jalomo, who's ranked 416, and he's a 7-1 record. His last fight was a draw. So I don't think these fights are going to happen. And if these fights do happen online, and so I'm not going to review them as much. We do have these things will be live on ESPN, USA ESPN. And whatever's going to happen, I might not review these male fights as much. But all I will say is this. We do have these other male fights, such as Luis Joina and Robert Salinas in a heavyweight fight. Lewis is a 7-0-1 fighter, with his third fight being a draw. And he was born in the country of Tirana, Albania. Now, he is ranked number 5 in this country of Albania and number 2 in the world, 246. And I will say, though, even though he is living in the Bronx of New York, and a lot of his fights have happened in his country of Albania, so I can't say much about how his career is going to do. We do have a 2-0 fighter of Jamel Harvey taking on a 6-4 fighter in a lightweight division. Super bantamweight of 11-1-2 fighter named Elon DeJesus, and Connor Attaway, a 10-2-1 fighter in a super bantamweight. They're both ranked of 136 and 112 for Connor. But again, I can't say much about those fights neither. And as for the female fights, we have Raquel Miller taking on Dos Santos, Adriana Dos Santos in a super middleweight contest. Raquel Miller hasn't fought since March of 2023 against Angie Paula Racha, which was March 2023, and that was a pretty good win. That was a pretty good win for her. Don't get me wrong. But all in all, I can't actually say much about it being much of a fight for her, because she's been on hiatuses in her career. She used to fight originally. Like Raquel Miller's fight, originally, she did weigh 185 pounds in her last fight. So she was mostly like fighting middleweight, super middleweight, and heavyweight fights. So who knows if Raquel Miller will have a chance for a title fight if she even gets an opportunity. The other female fights, on the other hand, we have 8-1 taking on 8-0 with 1-0 contest. Crystal Ortiz taking on Fernanda Delgado. Delgado is undefeated. She's from Mexico. She hasn't fought since last year in April the 4th. And this might be her which is interesting. Now, Crystal Ortiz, I will say though, even though she's from Puerto Rico, it is going to be interesting. Her loss against Sharetta Metcalf last October, after Sharetta lost against Trinurka Johnson, made me realize that Crystal already got bummed off an 8-round fight. She won a couple rounds, but never got stuff done as much. So if Fernanda doesn't beat this woman, then both careers are over for those girls. The last 2 fights are for world championship fights. We have a super middleweight fight and a super featherweight title contest going on for these title fights. So Shadicia Green versus Lonnie Daniels for IBF and WBO super middleweight championship. Former heavyweight and light heavyweight champion Lonnie Daniels is now fighting for a third weight class, while I really can't say much about this one. The super featherweight fight of Bomi Rishin is, guys, I don't know what to say about this woman. Like, Bomi Rishin is one of my least favorite female boxers. Even though she's South Korean and she's finally getting a big shot that Hyunmi Choi would never get in her life for how wasteful her talent was. for how that defector girl that used to be from North Korea just lost all a waste of time, of waste of talent, and it's bad. And she's fighting against Alicia Baumgartner, which the fights are for Alicia's WBA, IBF, WBO, and Ring Magazine Championship. The WBC belt is now for Caroline Vieira after Alicia stripped the title for not taking on WBC mandatory. February the 10th, 2016 was the fight for Caroline's win. So, again, Alicia Baumgartner, she's not getting my favorites up anymore. Like, because, guys, I'm not into Alicia Baumgartner anymore. Like, yeah, she's undisputed champion. But after her fights in 2023, which were interesting enough, from Ellen McCall, which was a done fighter, her rematch against Christina Ledardatu, the woman that became the first and only woman that's beaten Alicia Baumgartner and defeated her, she didn't even try for a rematch and just wasted off the talent. And it's upsetting. And then she fights in 2024 against Define Pursuit, but then had an accidental head clash after the end of round 4. So that was like, well, what a waste. And before you know it, 2025, her Jennifer Miranda fight, and that became a surprise controversial of what the heck, and the scoring cards and such. It wasn't good. And even going 12 rounds of distance with Leah Biaudouin wasn't much of a fight for me to talk about either. But again, because even though that fight happened December, after I was already off a hiatus right now, and that was the whole Yokasta Valley winning the WBC World Minimum Weight against Yadiri Bustillos. And the problem was, there was already a Japanese woman named Yumi Ishikawa, and she's been the WBC interim minimum weight champion since May 3rd, 2024. And I contacted out someone to say, why was she never involved with deserving the title? Like, even though she hasn't fought since May the 3rd of that fight. So I really question it so much for all the reasons that I just don't understand. Like, even though the woman's now 42 years old, it does question why they never gave her an opportunity. Maybe I have to look up more information about the Yokasta fight. And speaking about Yokasta is already going to vacate out the WBC belt to now fight against Lourdes Jorez on May the 30th for the WBC Light Flyweight Championship, which is in El Paso, Texas, which is Jake Paul's MVP W03, which that's going to be another interesting show I'm going to look at, because now we have other fights that I've now looking at, because we have Amanda Serrano taking on Cheyenne Hansen. Interesting enough. And she's holding the record for the longest reigns in female boxing today. And Amanda Serrano still is the only fighter that's still holding on to a title since becoming champion during the end of the 2010s. She's held on to the featherweight title of the WBO title since September 13th, 2019. So it would be interesting to see if Amanda Serrano loses this fight. That's going to be the last title for anyone to hold. So I would be really anxious to see if Cheyenne will pull out an upset victory, and that would be a great win. Desley Robinson versus Mary Spencer, and it's going to be interesting because Mary Spencer's Canadian, and I find that to be interesting because she's a welterweight fighter, super welterweight fighter. She lost against Michaela Mayer, even after her title fights and such, so it's going to be tough to understand. But again, I really don't know what to say about that fight because Desley Robinson should fight against Kay Scott for all the gold. That would be interesting. And I would find that interesting if you have Michaela Mayer surprisingly going up to that weight at the middleweight and fight for the champ. Better yet, I don't want to question that, but it will be interesting. But again, I do find this one to be a lot more surprising than it is because 12-0 Stephanie Hahn is going to have a rematch against Holly Holm, a fight that already became an utter dominant fight, ended in a technical decision fight when Stephanie Hahn defeated her after 7 rounds when Stephanie Hahn got an accidental headbutt because the fight ended before the end of round 7 when the fight was stopped due to a headbutt because Hahn got cut and they believe Holly Holm won the fight because of it. But the cut and such, so they went to technical scorecards. They went 69-55, 68-65, 69-64. All favored Stephanie winning the fight. She won the majority of a lot of the rounds. So for reasons why they're asking out Holly Holm to have a rematch, again, I just don't think it's necessary. But again, Holly Holm, she's not in her prime anymore. She's 44 years old. This is her 24th year in boxing. Her loss in January the 3rd this year was bad enough. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Holly Holm has become a great champion in some cases. As a WBC welterweight champion, and even though, and also coming out with a bunch of other world champions she's won. And even in 2007, when she won the WBC welterweight champ and made her an undisputed, because WBC and WBA were the only two belts that existed in female boxing until 2009, when I think the IBF belt existed, and then a year later in 2010, the WBO belt existed. So that made Holly Holm undisputed. Like I said before, guys, 2004 was the year when the WBA and WBC existed for women's boxing. But again, I really can't say that they were doing a progress because they still had other belts. Like the IBA belt was a thing, and Holly Holm became the IBA junior welterweight, which is another word for, I'm an idiot. Light welterweight. Oh boy, what do they call that? In light welterweight is super lightweight. So she was also champion there, and even the WIBA belt and other. So yeah, I don't know. Like even if she does become lightweight champion, being a 2-time weight class champion is tough enough after your recent loss. And Holly Holm has lost uttered knockout losses in her career, whether it's MMA and boxing, and not for good reasons. So I really can't say to myself, this is worth it. But again, I really, forgive my pergnosity here, but this is putting me in a conundrum. Now, even though there's 4 title fights here for light flyweight, and then we have featherweight, lightweight, and then we have the middleweight. So it's great that we have a buffet of weight classes from bottom to lower and such, which is great. But I really can't say that. That for certain reasons, I really can't I really can't point any of this stuff out. Uh, any of this stuff out yet because I do find this one to be um, utter competition here. Now, quite frankly, now this is what I'm going to have to say to everyone here. Whether women's boxing does have what it takes, because guys, women's boxing is a little bit more better and popular since the early of the 2010s. I will say though, women's boxing, in my opinion, this year and even last year ago, and even the moments I was really upset in 2024 and 2025, and the fighters that I was upset of losing, and a lot of them were Asian women, by the way, but mostly it is what it is. Not all of them will be undefeated, but again, seeing them waste out their title shots and opportunities and such, yeah, that's a heartbreaker. So I will say though, boxing has been a lot better because since even during the end of the 2000s with all the stuff going on and after Vonda Ward quit, Ann Wolfe was gone, Layla Ali was gone, and even though, I will say though, even for a Russian fighter of Natalia Rogozina, I think there was a new hope of generation of women. The 2010s were just so different. So I'm a little bit surprised about that. So even when women's boxing did made it to the Olympic Games in 2012, that was just the start of a different era. But by the end of the decade, all I can say is whether or not we will see new competition happening, I think, in my opinion, it's not if we're going to get an opportunity for a new champion. I'm looking for an opportunity for undisputed championships in every weight class. And guys, I've been through this all the time. Because guys, if you don't count the light heavyweight division that has 0 light heavyweight undisputeds in female boxing, and since Ellie Scottney became undisputed 10 days ago, understand this. Super flyweight has been having problems for a new champion. And with Yocosta Valle trying to win against Lourdes for her WBC belt, the light flyweight does have one woman from Argentina that still has all the belts. So I really do have to question myself, is women's boxing growing bigger than ever? Because guys, we're having a bunch of undisputed fights. Like in 2025, the autumn weight got their first undisputed. 2024 was mostly the flyweight division, the mini flyweight division, and Chanurka Johnson did it in 2025. Even there were already 2 belts for unknown characters in 2006 and 2008 with a couple women that were in the 2-belt era that are forgotten, and an underdog story there. Ellie Scottney did this year. 2023, Amanda Serrano was featherweight. Same year for Alicia Baumgartner, Katie Taylor in 2019. 2022 and 2023 for Chantel Cameron becoming light welterweight, and then Katie Taylor got her. And of course, multiple champs of welterweight from Holly Holm to Cecilia Breckhouse in 2014, the first one in the 4-belt era in any division for men and women. Yeah, and then Clarissa Shields, she came out of nowhere and went off undisputed reigns just like that, one by one. And she's demolished it ever since. And even for a bunch of other females in the super middleweight, from Franchon Cruz to Savannah Marshall. So I do have no particular doubt that the light flyweight will be the next one this year. If Yocosta Valle wins, it'll be good. If Lourdes wins the fight, she might get a good push and then take on the Argentinian fighter of Evelyn and go for a new undisputed champ in the light flyweight. But again, that will be interesting. There is one other problem when it comes to that. and that is men's boxing. Because, guys, there is an interesting fact. I have to point this out. The super flyweight still has 0 fighters in the division that haven't won an undisputed super flyweight champ. The light flyweight and the minimum weight has been growing a little bit better, and there's new fighters in competition. Heck, even ESPN already televised a fight in Japan, and that lasted 2 rounds when Simsri defeated Alfonso in Mexico by a round 2 knockout just recently this month. So that right there makes you wonder, damn, is the light flyweight that popular? Don't get me wrong, even Don King promoted Ricardo Lopez, and he got live on television for minimum weight championship fights and light flyweights. So if you have to tell me in your perspective, I find this to be a huge buildup to more champions. It makes us wonder, what about countries that might not get a chance to win champions? So I have to understand there's a lot of regional countries out there that can even try to find opportunities, and we might even get opportunities in the future with new boxers. And it's going to be interesting because when it comes down to this, there's going to be one good opportunity for any fighter out there that's going to fight for these world titles, no matter what the cause is. And I have a feeling we're going to see more of these championships and undisputed coming by. And ever since these world champions have been happening, and Naoya Inoue became the first super bantamweight in the entire history become undisputed since 2023, and even Alexander Usyk went back to do undisputed heavyweight again, I think it's going to be interesting for me to understand that these fighters are going to grow bigger and stronger by the minute. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with championship title fights going on yet, in my opinion, because there are fights depending if the right winner won, and scorecards and judging and other fights, they're always going to be controversial no matter what the cause is. So we do have to accept that for what it is. But that only depends. So I think my final thought about this before we get to the third and final topic is not to worry about whether or not something will come our way, but let's just make sure that something interesting will happen when the time comes. And I'm sure everything will be okay. But for now, we're just going to have to wait and see if we do get an undisputed title fight with Yokasta or Lourdes taking on Evelyn, because that will bring us interesting publicity if that will happen. Because the lower weight classes for women's boxing has been growing a lot faster than men's lower weight classes. And I think we should try to pay attention to those frequently than they are. So I don't think we're going to have a problem. Anyway, guys. So for the final topic, ladies and gentlemen, is this. The PBA, Professional Bowling Association, has put on a lot of surprising moments in years, and nothing could be said by champions. Since Brandon Bonta scored a televised 300 in the first ever show this year of the Players' Championship and the title match, only won $10,000 for the 300 game in the title match, which is abysmal in today's world, and a $100,000 win. Makes you wonder, he might be Rookie of the Year. Graham Falk comes out with a third win in his second class in the Pete Weber. U.S. Go Bowling, where we have Patrick Dombrowski, over a quarter of a century of a Pro Bowler, not getting a chance, finally gets a close win. Anthony Simonson and a Finland fighter battled it out over a 290 and a 279 game. It's ridiculous. A 78 game. And then Marshall Kent and David Kroll, they battle out in the Indiana Classic with a whopping low score of a 152 to 136 game. Marshall Kent wins the low winning title score. And then a week later, David Kroll comes out with his first major win, the USBC Masters. And of course, the World and the USA versus World got their win there. And then for some reason, in the month of April, we get Spencer Robarg and Austin Grammar, two rookie bowlers from Ohio and the New York Classics to win. So now, guys, as I'm talking about this right now as a short topic, April the 19th, Portland, Maine is coming back again, this time in the Owens Craft Mixers Double. The Roth-Holman Doubles Championship will take place in Portland, Maine on the 19th. I'm not going to be there because I'm busy on other stuff on the 19th. Mostly, I had to save my car up due to gas prices. The gas prices are crazy, but again, as of right now, as we're recording this, it is the 15th right now. Tomorrow will be the 17th, and the 16th and the 17th will be practices for qualifying, and on the 19th. And I am expecting a 710 conversion to go on anytime, so it is going to be interesting. And after that is over, we're going to go to the TOC in Fairlawn, Ohio on April the 26th. And it's crazy because we're already 3 majors in and we have some new players winning. EJ Tackett's still trying to get his first win. I don't think EJ Tackett has what it takes. I don't know if him and Marshall Kent are doing a good job as doubles ever since their career winnings and top 5 finishes of finishing in doubles and becoming winners in 2022. So I don't think they have what it takes. As for EJ Tackett, something tells me he might not have what it takes for the TOC. But I have a feeling the month of May, he might throw in some surprising thoughts. Now, guys, since Jason Belmonte did a damn good job in the World, some people say that even though he might be having problems because his popularity and his success in 2022 might have faltered him so much in 2023, that he's not even having a lot of TV appearances as much in 2024 and 2025. And there's a lot of questions about his utter failures and such. But it just goes to show you, you're going to have good years and you're going to have bad years. Good years and bad years, it is what it is. And you're not going to have a great year, just like Walter Ray Williams' competition, him going undefeated in over 17 straight seasons of winning titles in 17 seasons. Walter Ray Williams Jr. has broke that record for over a good time, and even breaking Earl Anthony's 15 winning seasons from 1970 to 1984. And it took him 43 titles to win. And Walter Ray, he won titles in the mid-80s, barely had some in the late, and then early 90 until 93 to 2010. He went on 17 seasons. So it does go to show you what we might get ourselves into. But my final thought is this, guys. On the first day of May, we're going to have the first tournament of practice qualifyings. Well, there's going to be pre-qualifyings on the 29th of April for the cheetah, chameleon, scorpion, and shark. And then after full days are over, they're going to have CBS Sports record the cheetah on the 9th, the 10th chameleon on the 11th, scorpion, and on May the 12th will be the shark. And then they're going to wait us for a full friggin' month until June the 13th. And keep this in mind, they're doing it in Brooklyn Park of Mississippi. And then after that, qualifying and such, and then match play will take on June the 13th, will be Allen Park, Michigan, for the semifinals and finals. They're going to do a semifinals on June the 13th on CBS Sports and then go on CBS Plus. The television and the works and even how dark the graphics are questionable. But that hasn't stopped competition from being that dominant. So after the Shark is over, that's the end of the PBA. We have to wait a full month until the PBA World Champion. And then until that's over, 1 week later, we're going to go to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania for the PBA Elite League Battle of the Brands on June the 20th. And then, of course, a day later, they're going to do the Norm Duke Open, which they are going to do match games on June the 15th and June the 19th. And then after they have the top 8, and it's going to be the same thing as the Tour Finals, the PBA Tour Finals, only they're going to call it the PBA Norm Duke Open, which is a Tier 2 match. So I am going to find that one to be really, really fun to watch. Again, guys, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be an A squad and a B squad, which makes you wonder, what's that going to be next? Nothing, because the month of June is just going to be that. So there's not going to be a lot of crazy stuff happening. So we're over halfway done. We're over the halfway season. So it does upset me that there's not a lot of tournaments happening, and that's the most ridiculous stuff. So I really can't say much about this. The PBA and the PWBA of the Striking Against Breast Cancer Mixed Doubles, aka the Lucy, will take place on July the 30th and on August the 2nd in Houston, Texas. Like always, they'll have champs for mixed competitors. And then 4 weeks later, or maybe a few weeks until on August the 21st, they're going to have a practice of competition in Helsingborg, Sweden for the Storm Lucky Larson Masters. The finals will take place on August the 31st. Top 4 finishers from 2 brackets here, from 1-2 and 1-2 here. Top 2 on winners in the semis will go on finals and clash the winner. Last year ago, guys, Sean Rash won the final tournament with a surprising bang after he broke his hand and he had to bowl it differently during his last 2 matches. And I was shocked how he even won the first one. And when watching the footage of that first match of him was crazy. Even the other player that went to the finals that day was crazy, that he was not on a good bowling streak. But seeing Sean Rash bowl different and then just come out and win his, I'm going to assume that was his 18th title win, I'm going to assume. Yeah, 18th. And just to let you guys know, he was Rookie of the Year in 2005. Since he won his first title in the 2005 and 6 season. So, it does make you wonder, does he have what it takes to win a couple more? Well, just to let you guys know, he was born on August the 22nd, and he just turned 43 years old a week ago during the time when he was there and the start of the tournament. So seeing him, if he does come back, and I just hope Sean Rash did recover from his injuries, and I think if he has what it takes to win maybe a couple more. Guys, if Sean Rash does come out in the WSOB for the World Series of Bowling and wins a title, and if he gets lucky winning a second one this year, I find that legendary. His 20-year pro career is great. His Hall of Fame, even though he was abducted in the Hall of Fame, last year ago, and him winning the last title that year was a great pleasing. And guys, it is interesting. By the way, guys, I've been told that it might be possible that, if possible, because someone actually said that Chris Barnes is going back to the PBA to perform in the World Series of Bowling. And if he does, and he wins one more title, that's actually an amazing way to end off your legacy there. Like, that will be great. Depending on who you ask, because just to let you guys know, Ryan Barnes hasn't won a title yet this year, and he's come close since. But again, I hope there will be an opportunity for him to win. He's come way close this year, so I just hope that will come to him one day. For now, guys, I think it's probably best to take a break right now because we're trying to find more information about Anthony Joshua and other stuff from Tyson Fury. But yeah, like I said before, guys, we're already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, 8 titles. Guys, we have 10 more titles this year for the PBA, and they're still doing 18 title matches. They got rid of the playoffs again, which should have been 19. They should have given us another classic tournament for 20 and probably went that way. Again, we're just going to have to wait and see when that time comes. But for now, I think it's better to end this video for what it is. Thank you, viewers, for watching this episode. And with that being said, we're going to see what will happen during the end of the year. As for now, guys, I heard YouTuber Propa Boxing just uploaded another video called Yeah, It's Getting Boring Now with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury all over this again. So I'm going to watch that 12-minute video and we'll see what happens. So with that being said, see you next time.